Hello listeners and welcome to today's Cult News. I'm your speaker Casey, and for this segment I will be looking into various news articles coming out around the world about abuse allegations and lawsuits. According to CBC, in an article titled "High Profile Attorneys Announce New Lawsuit as Survivors Share Stories of Sex Abuse in Baltimore Catholic Church," reads, "High-profile attorneys on Tuesday stood next to survivors who shared stories of sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. A new lawsuit will be filed against the Archdiocese of Baltimore by civil rights attorney Ben Crump and sexual abuse attorney Adam Slater on behalf of survivors of childhood sexual abuse perpetrated by members of the church. The Maryland Attorney General's office released a 456-page report earlier this year on an investigation that details nearly 160 clergy, teachers, seminarians and deacons within the archdiocese who allegedly assaulted more than 600 children going back to the 1940s. 15 of the names were redacted or kept out of the report. "We believe you," Crump said. "You are victims no more. You are heroes for others who have suffered abuse by clergy of the Catholics of this city and this state. We are going to continue to stand with you." The attorneys announced the lawsuit Tuesday, which will be filed when the Maryland Child Victims Act goes into effect on October 1st. Following this, UCA News released an article titled "Hong Kong Christian Group Accused of Same-Sex Conversion Therapy," with part of the article reading, "Christian group in Hong Kong that receives state funding for the welfare of sexual minorities is among several organizations accused of engaging in brainwashing LGBTQ individuals to straighten them under the guise of one-on-one counseling." The New Creation Association is one of the groups that have allegedly engaged in the sexual orientation change effort, a practice globally condemned as discriminatory, dangerous and traumatic. Alvin Chung, 38, a social worker in Hong Kong, alleged that he had contacted the group in 2005 as a college student, and it was involved in brainwashing him by saying that his same-sex orientation was unnatural. This comes alongside an article from Mercury News of a woman being awarded $2.28 billion in a California sexual abuse lawsuit, with part of the article reading, "A Southern California woman awarded what might be a record-settling judgment in a U.S. sexual assault case said she told her attorney at the beginning of the civil trial in Riverside Federal Court not to discuss with her how much money he planned to seek. I didn't want to be distracted from what the goal was," she said. But when jurors on April 25th announced that her stepfather would be ordered to pay $836 million in general damages and $1.44 billion in punitive damages for the assaults that she says began when she was only 5 years old and lasted for a decade, the woman, now 41, was overcome with emotion. "I don't know what I was thinking," she said in an interview on Wednesday, May 3rd. "I was bawling and hugging my wife, who was also crying. I think there is going to be positive change, and that's the goal." This is all poignant progress, as the Express has recently released an article stating that statistics suggest 1 in 6 of all crimes involve violence against women, with part of the article stating, "Analysis by the National Police Chiefs Council found 117 of these crimes are recorded every hour, around 2 per minute. At least 507,827 offences, known as VAWG, were recorded in the 6 months between October 2021 and March 2022, and 1 in 4 women have been identified as repeat victims, with one force revealing that just under half of the women have been targeted at least twice." Glamour has released a detailed piece on coercive control, stalking, harassment and cyberstalking, including information on how love bombing is now being recognised as a tool for grooming victims of coercive control and should be considered a red flag, with inews.co.uk then going on to release an article stating what to do if you think you are in a controlling or coercive relationship, according to experts. Part of the article reads, "I've been starting to think lately that my boyfriend is controlling. He is a strong character, and that's part of what attracted me to him. He is very driven at work, but also very generous and kind. The sex is great, but some behaviour is starting to worry me. When I go out, he calls wanting to know when I'm coming home. I've told him I don't like him doing it, so he doesn't, but then instead finds ways to pick fights with me when I get home. He doesn't like it when I drink alcohol. He makes snide comments about stupid things I say when I've been drinking, but I don't remember saying those things. And often he says that after I've only had one drink, and I'm sure I remember the conversation, but then I doubt myself. He doesn't like most of my friends, which makes it tense when they come to the flat. So they don't come over very much. A lot of the criticisms are probably accurate. He is a take no prisoners kind of guy, but surely nobody is perfect. Intimacy and relationship expert Jan Day says whether this is controlling or not depends on whether you are actually free to make choices he doesn't like, or whether you feel coerced in behaving in a way that you don't want to by his threatening words or behaviour. The article then goes on to state what we can do if we want to be in a healthy, secure partnership that requires both of you to agree about how you want to create your life together, because your choices do affect each other. Although we hear more news of legal action against current and historical abuses of vulnerable adults and children, there's still a long way to go. That is the end of today's Cult News. Join me tomorrow for more. I'm your speaker, Casey, host of the Cult Vault podcast.